This presentation is on the findings from the Okanagan Falls Age-Friendly Survey, a survey that looked to figure out what the needs, challenges, and supports are for older adults in the community. The purpose of going through these findings is to give you a snapshot into what's to come in the final plan, but we're not yet looking at recommendations or strategies. So we'll mainly be looking at the statistics from the survey. Now, some people find statistics to be a bit dry, but if you're interested in your community, if you're interested in sustaining what's here, if you're interested in retiring here one day, or you have aging parents here right now, and you're interested in what their future is going to be like, then the information in this presentation is vital for you. So what we'll do in this presentation is get a little bit of background on where we're at in the age-friendly process, and then go through the key findings from each of these 6 sections of the survey: outdoor spaces, buildings and safety, transportation and mobility, housing, social engagement, recreation, arts and culture, community health, well-being, and social networks. The age-friendly process looks to figure out what the needs, challenges, and supports are for seniors and older adults in the community. And the reason to do this is because when you improve the community for seniors, it will result in a community that's better for everyone. Now, since April, we've done a scan of the supports available in the community. We've audited the community's infrastructure to see how age-friendly things like sidewalks and buildings are. We did a survey of community members to determine the needs. We did one-on-one interviews to uncover in-depth information. And now we're doing an open house to check back with the community to verify our information and to fill any gaps. Now, before I get to the findings, it's really important to talk about a key piece of background information. And this is that Okanagan Falls is aging. Now, you can see from these population pyramids that the amount of aging is fairly significant. In 2001, the largest cohort of people were those between the ages of 45 and 49. 10 years later, in 2011, the bulk of people are between the ages of 60 and 64. And currently, of the 5,715 people in Area D, 1,440 are over the age of 65 right now. That's just over a quarter of the population of this entire area. So the population here is making a real shift. Now, we also know that in this population of older adults, there's been an increase in people who are over 65 and living alone, and there's been an increase in people who've been widowed. So now let's get to the survey findings. First, it's important to talk about who the survey represents. Well, we received results from 126 households, which represent 228 people. And these 228 people represented 10% of the total population of Okanagan Falls and approximately 40% of seniors. Now, 64% of these people were married and 18% were widowed. 54% of the population in the survey were female and 46% were male. In terms of respondent ages, 72% of respondents were over the age of 65, and the average age of respondents was 69. So you can see here that there's a fairly good sample of older adults in Okanagan Falls represented in this survey. The first survey section is on outdoor spaces, buildings, and safety. The majority of people feel safe in Okanagan Falls, both during the day and at night, although a lesser number of people feel safe at night. And safety is a key factor in an age-friendly community. If people don't feel safe, it's unlikely that they'll want to grow old in this place. Another important part of an age-friendly community is how easily people can get around. A lot of residents feel that Okanagan Falls is easy to travel around because it's small and the core areas are flat. However, the majority of survey respondents feel that both roadways and walking areas are not well maintained, which means people are likely having some difficulties. Now, when asked what kind of barriers are impeding respondents' ability to get around Okanagan Falls, the greatest number of people claimed the lack of safe areas to cross Highway 97, snow and ice in walking areas, lack of controlled intersections, and lack of crosswalks were the greatest barriers faced. The next section's on transportation and mobility. When respondents were asked how they plan to travel around the community in the next 5 to 10 years, the highest response for each year was driving and walking, followed by bicycling. However, over the 10-year period, one notable increase was in the amount of respondents who were making the shift to taking rides with family and friends, using a taxi service, and using other forms of transportation such as mobility scooters. Now, when asked what type of transportation services respondents would desire in the future, the most popular responses were regular local public transportation and transportation for regional medical appointments. The next section's on housing. Currently, 77% of respondents plan to stay in Okanagan Falls for retirement, and 64% of those individuals plan on staying in their homes. However, not all individuals will actually be able to stay in their homes because of housing appropriateness. Currently, 87% of respondents have stairs at the entrances to their homes, and stairs can become a major burden later in life, especially with health challenges. Also within the housing section was questions as to whether respondents needed seniors housing right now, in 5 years, and in 10 years. 17 people currently need some type of seniors housing right now. And you can see in this chart that senior subsidized independent living units are the most commonly desired type of housing right now, followed closely by seniors market independent living units and seniors subsidized supportive units. In 5 years, 36 households believe they'll need some type of seniors housing. The most desired types of seniors housing in 5 years are seniors subsidized independent living units and seniors market independent living units. Now in 10 years, you can see the need jumps substantially to 52 households expecting to need seniors housing. Again, the most desired type of seniors housing in 10 years are seniors subsidized independent living units and seniors market independent living units. However, in 10 years, many households also believe they'll require seniors subsidized supportive living units. Now this section looks at engagement in Okanagan Falls. When asked what social and cultural activities or events were important to have in the community, the greatest amount of respondents indicated that live music nights or afternoons, games events, and coffee and tea socials were the most important to have in the community. When asked a similar question about what was needed to improve sports and recreation for older adults, the top choices were a 65+ outdoor walking program, an indoor walking program, a gentle yoga class, a 65+ cardio equipment drop-in time, and 65+ Pilates and fitness classes. When asked about education programs, respondents wanted to see basic computer courses, internet use and search courses, healthy living seminars, dementia care information seminars, and cooking classes. Now, one of the things identified here and in many sections of the survey is that respondents didn't know what was offered in a lot of cases, and information challenges was identified as one of the biggest barriers to participation. So here, one of the concerns is in figuring out how to reach a diverse group of older individuals with the information on what there is to do in Okanagan Falls. The last section looks at health and well-being. In terms of community health status, most respondents had a good or very good health status. However, 1 in 5 respondents claimed to use an assistive device for mobility. The majority of these individuals used a walker, hearing aid, or mobility scooter. And the use of these devices is something to consider in future program and infrastructure design. Now, support networks in Okanagan Falls are also pretty good. 69% of respondents suggested that their family and friends in Okanagan Falls make up a support network that they could turn to in times of need, for example, during a health crisis. Now, the main area of concern here is the perception of healthcare. Respondents were very split on the topic of primary health care services. 35% of respondents said they were unsure if healthcare services were sufficient in Okanagan Falls. 31% said they were sufficient in Okanagan Falls, and 34% said they're not sufficient. The top reasons that people were dissatisfied with health services in Okanagan Falls were due to challenges accessing local physicians, which included wait times, lack of diversity, and not being able to get in locally if you have a physician in Penticton. Other reasons included the absence of a local lab and X-ray facility, the lack of local walk-in clinic, and the lack of dental services. The last part of this section asks respondents what 4 health services are needed in Okanagan Falls the most. The top answers were home care, visiting services for isolated seniors, nursing care, and respite care. But as you can see in this graph, there were many highly rated choices in this case. Now, when asked the same question about community services, which have an impact on health, the top choices were home repair and maintenance, winter and summer yard work, and house cleaning. So the areas of concern here are with creating opportunities to provide future care and general maintenance services. So those are the initial findings, and there's a lot of key areas to think about, from age-friendly road maintenance to seniors housing and information challenges. Now, what I hope is beginning to become clear is that addressing these needs are not all big-ticket items. Certainly some of them are, and it's great to plan for the long term, but often it's the little things that make a big difference in age-friendly communities, from having new sources of information to having interactions with community youth. And overall, it's important to recognize that when you improve communities for older adults, you wind up improving them for everyone. So continuing down the age-friendly community pathway is a strategy that will make Okanagan Falls a great place for everyone to play, work, and live. Thanks.